besides Jeremy, like a Devin caliber player, like one of those NBA playmakers?
He played Austin.
Austin, I didn't watch that one, so okay, my bad, Austin, not Jeremy. But
Austin pretty good, but man,
I don't know because I've seen Devin like real hot as far as shooting. I've seen him where he's really good, where he don't be making a lot of that shit. Honestly, like
yeah.
I can relate to that, but I've seen him like where he's just on this shit where he's making every fucking thing.
He don't go.
I got a question though.
He green.
So a lot of the videos I've seen with Devin, he's playing around, very jokey, and at some point it's maybe he doesn't want to be serious, but even playing against Friga, let's say normally, even if it's supposed to be serious, he will play around. You think that 10K will?
Nah, he gonna lock in
to where he like, nah, I'm not going to play. Like,
nah, he gonna lock in for sure. But I think this is a little more competitive than people are kind of thinking.
Oh, Deshaun.
So, this is what getting older feels like, huh? Fresh off of getting married, about to have a little boy. Never thought I'd see the day. But be easy.
We turn down.
I still got a lot left in the tank. Oh shit.
That's tough.
And as a trainer, I'm low-key getting better at this every day. No. Yeah. That was pretty good. You hit the front rim. Oh! Okay.
AMD hasn't been, shall we say, competitive at the top end of GPUs for a long time now. But that's changing, at least we think it is. We don't have reviews available yet, and these guys here have not yet been opened. But still pretty exciting, isn't it? Like, when was the last time? It was like, I don't know, Fury? You could make the argument for Fury? Like, come on. It's been such a long ride. But here we are, and now we've got the Radeon RX 6000 series. We've got the 6800 on top here in this comparatively tiny box, although it is quite fetching, I must say. And the 6800 XT. The RX 6800 XT is what AMD is pitting against the RTX 3080, this guy here. And looks like it's going to be a little bit bigger physically. Don't know yet. But at $649, it's actually going to be about $50 cheaper, while, purportedly, having roughly the same performance in traditional games. The RX 6800, meanwhile, is sort of a competitor for the RTX 3070. I mean, it looks like it completely trounces it, based on AMD's data. But at the same time, it's like, what is it, $80 more? Yeah, $579. This only costs, what, $70 less than this? What is AMD smoking right now? That's ridiculous. Okay, so let's get into it, and let's start off with the little one. Look at that, it's never even been opened. Not even in our inventory. I could walk away with this right now and nobody would know, except for you guys. All right, let's see what we got here. Actually, really nice packaging so far. Uncompromised 4K gaming, AMD Fidelity of FX optimized, 16 gigabytes of memory, and PCI Express 4.0 ready. So we pull this off. Oh yeah, look at that. It's got the little padding here for the card. We've also got safety precaution, FCC compliance. I am so sorry. And of course, we have the main event in here. That looks and feels really nice. Like this is solid, and yet it's got curves to it. So our display outputs, we've got a USB Type-C, 2 display ports, which support display compression 1.4, and HDMI 2.1, which supposedly supports the full 48 gigabits per second. AMD doesn't specifically say this. The, fixed rate link. I don't know why they called it that. It makes no sense whatsoever, but hey, HDMI. Around back, we've got that there power delivery. Those are really tiny surface mount devices there. I really like the look of this card. The two-tone, it's just so nice. And they got this little little guide here to say this is the screw you should take out first, I guess. I can't take it apart for you, unfortunately. But yeah, these fans look really nice. They feel nice too. And yeah, the whole thing is basically made of metal. This is sweet. So this is the RTX 3080. Bear in mind, this is the 6800 non-XT. And it's a little shorter. Roughly the same thickness. This is a little thicker, actually. And as far as width goes, okay, the Radeon's a bit bigger. Which one weighs more? I feel like this weighs more. Let's get our scale and see. Oh. So, this boy weighs about 1.29 kg, or 2 pounds, 13.5 ounces. As for our Radeon, 1.32 kg, 2.14, sorry, that's not how pounds work. 2 pounds, 14.5 ounces. I hate Imperial. Thank you. 2.91 pounds. So yeah, this is a little bit heavier. And I guess that would be expected because they're not really relying on that revolutionary pass-through, flow-through design that NVIDIA has going. So let's put it over there. Yeah, you can see through the they don't have that going for them. This is just a straight traditional go through the what's that? Ow! I bit my tongue. So this is just a traditional type of exhaust into the case kind of cooler. So this is what it's competing against, the RTX 3070. And that is quite a size difference. If I were to plop this down onto this, that's not even a kilogram, which is 2 pounds, 2.8 ounces. But then again, I mean, this is the thing. It's not directly competing, which is kind of unfortunate because, like, how do we compare? Like, what does this compare to? It doesn't compare to anything. Ugh. This is going to be a real nightmare to benchmark. It's closer to a 3080 than a 3070. Let's just put it that way. That's a very good segue into the 6800 XT, which is a good $70 more, I think. Really good. Oh. I'm being told that I should have segued to the sponsor instead of this other card. Well, that's me for you, I guess. Thanks to SteelSeries for sponsoring this. The SteelSeries Aerox 3 Wireless is the newest mouse by SteelSeries that weighs only 66 grams, making it one of the latest mice available. It uses Quantum Wireless 2.0 for nearly zero latency for speed and stability. It can use 2.4 gigahertz RF and Bluetooth connections, along with a USB Type-C for fast charging and up to 40 hours of battery life in 15 minutes. Aqua Barrier technology makes it the first IP54 dust and splash resistant gaming mouse. Go to SteelSeries.com to check out the Aerox 3 Wireless today. Let's unbox this guy. There is also an unbroken seal here, but this box is much more substantial. I slashed the box. Just in case anyone's wondering, there's basically nothing on the back of the box. Now this is the one that everyone, this is the one that everyone's kind of salivating over. Here we go. Welcome to the Red Team. You've joined a select community with an uncompromising passion for premium gaming. That shared desire is at the heart of everything we do. It's why we engineered the fastest AMD Radeon RX graphics cards ever. With the powerful gaming experience. And then we had this useless little thing.
No, it doesn't look much different.
But it feels different. Yeah, that is a thick stack of fins right there. Roughly the same size, though. Yeah, it kind of is. There's more fin area. They're not more dense, but they are definitely. But I know what this is. This is the 6800 XT, and on the top we've got exactly the same selection. We have USB Type-C, 2 display port, display compression 1.4, and the I was hoping that I would have more to say about this, but it's just thicker. That's kind of weird. The Radeon text is so this is just red. This looks like it might even be hiding some RGB. Who knows? All right, let's see how much this guy weighs. 1.366 kg. 3 pounds, 0.2 ounces. You're probably gonna want a GPU brace to support this guy. Good thing there's actually partner cards that are going to be coming out with built-in liquid cooling. Not that AMD says that it's necessary, actually, because both of these cards, and in fact even the 6900 XT, are going to be potentially less power hungry and less thermally bad than either of these. Yeah, the 6800 XT is 250 watts with a 650 watt recommended power supply, while the 6800 XT is 300 watts with a recommended 750 watt power supply. And that is exactly the same as the 6900 XT, despite that card's extra power. Which is interesting because the only real difference between this card and the 6900 XT is that this card has 8 fewer compute units. So this is 60 compute units, this is 72, and the big boy is 80. Each one of those has a Ray accelerator that AMD is adding for the first time in this generation, and presumably it'll just work with any game that supports RTX, which is really fancy words for Vulkan ray tracing or DirectX ray tracing. Interestingly, AMD is marketing both of these cards towards people who might have a GTX 1080 Ti and they're wanting to upgrade to something that's going to handle a little bit higher frame rates or even ray tracing. The 6800 non-XT, AMD's kind of aiming at people who have 1440p or 1080p high refresh rate monitors that they want to really drive at higher frame rates. The 6800 XT is aimed more towards people who have 4K displays or 1440p high refresh rate displays, who not only want to have that high refresh rate, high gaming frame rate experience, but also have the power to do a lot of sightseeing. So things like Rise of the Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Minecraft RTX, that kind of thing. You know, if you're looking at what is the best bang for the buck, it really depends on what you're doing. If you're doing streaming or anything really with, you know, work from home, conferencing, that kind of thing, then the 3070 is better all-rounder than this, even though this is more powerful. Really depends on what your priorities are. This guy, though, is actually priced below the 3080, meaning that you have less of a do I want to go higher for less but better performance, and more of a do I want to go lower for less but the same or better performance. I think this is the better value proposition, personally, but you know, your mileage may vary. Some people might prefer to have a little bit extra horsepower, and they don't care about you know, RTX voice, noise canceling, or anything like that. They just want the frames. Or maybe they're into content creation. All of the cards on lineup, from the 6800 all the way up to the 6900 XT, not only have 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory, but they also have 128 megabytes of Infinity Cache, which is something that AMD is saying runs 1.6 terabytes per second in terms of speed, which is about 3+ times faster than the main memory in this card. It's ridiculous, but at the same time, for a lot of the things that your GPU is going to be doing, it's not going to be like that major, I'm gonna write the whole video memory back again kind of deal, you know? It's gonna be the same kind of thing that's updating over and over and over again while you have your assets all in the main memory. So, in that respect, AMD might have the right idea here. They're saving money on the memory, and then just giving you the same amount of memory across the board. and then they're just going to give you really fast cache memory that's on the actual GPU die itself. It's an interesting take on things, and I'm very excited to figure out whether or not that's actually going to help me. Obviously, I haven't tested these yet, and you guys won't know until, I think, 2 days from now, whether or not it's any good. Aside from that, the only question that's really left to answer is, will it be available at launch? Because NVIDIA's had nothing but problems with their RTX 3000 series. And AMD's launch of Ryzen 5000 has been similarly disastrous. And, I mean, depending on who you ask, that's because it's a paper launch, which I don't think is true. Or it could be because scalpers, which I guess is also true, but it's also because there's an unprecedented demand for new computers and faster parts, because we just haven't had anything that was this good in a long time. So the appetite is there, people have seen that the appetite is there, and they're very much willing to go out and spend the money to get it now, so that they can charge you way more later. Is it going to be the same for the Radeon RX 6000 series? According to AMD, and I quote, "I can tell you that we've planned for a successful launch. We are working very hard to ensure we have products supplied at launch time around the world, and we are actively working with our partners to at least be sure that we can get the products out in the hands of gamers. We do expect that we're going to have great global availability at launch, and we're really excited to get products out to as many people as we can." Which, I mean, of course they're going to say that. Do you believe them? I don't know. I guess it all depends on... Actually, you know what? It doesn't depend on anything. Nobody's going to wait for our review. You should, but most people won't, right? So, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see. Yeah, we'll just have to see. Just like you'll have to see another episode of Short Circuit sometime later. Subscribe. Thanks for watching. Take care, and good luck.
It's time. Today's video is sponsored by Micro Center and their Custom PC Builder. Use a Custom PC Builder to plan your next build, and when the parts are added to your cart and in-store pickup is selected, the Micro Center technician will fully assemble your PC, and if the order is placed at least 4 hours before closing, you can enjoy your new PC the very same day. Get the best prices and parts selection at any of Micro Center's 25 locations across the United States, and right now my viewers can get a free 32GB flash drive and a free 32GB micro SD card while supplies last, in-store only. To see everything Micro Center has to offer and to learn more about this limited time incentive, click the link in the description below. This is the AMD graphics card you guys are used to. The old trusty 5700 XT, RDNA 1. Not quite good enough to take on NVIDIA, unfortunately. But one of the things they told us, and promised us when this came out, was that RDNA was going to age like fine wine. It was going to be the Ryzen for GPUs. And then the 30 series came out, and I thought to myself, how in the heck is AMD going to make up the amount of gap that they've got to make up? I mean, this is just like Gapplebees in terms of racing, right? I mean, there's no way they could catch up. Well, this was a great card. It really was. I mean, it competed with the 2070 Super. Remember, the Super cards existed because of this card, believe it or not. Whether NVIDIA had them planned all along or they decided to just kind of change things mid-game. This card with its controversial finger dent, that's just how strong I am. See, I squished the card. This is the reference edition 5700 XT, and then the 5700 looked somewhat similar, just didn't have this dent. And you could actually take a 5700 and flash this BIOS to it and get yourself a 5700 XT. Didn't necessarily mean it was going to work, but ours did. But this is old news. Nobody cares about that anymore because now the new stuff is here. Bum, bum, bum. So this is going to be an interesting launch. I think by now everyone knows the embargo for like sales and availability is November 18th. And this being the AMD card, I don't know exactly what, I don't know if this is the exact thing you're going to get. If this is retail packaging, apparently UPC goes there. Ours clearly doesn't have one because this is, you know, early sample type stuff. What I want to speak to first and foremost as we unbox this and take a look at what comes in the packaging without trying to rip the box because I really suck at unboxing. There we go. I don't know if this is exactly what you're going to get. I don't know if this is what's going to be at like Micro Center and Best Buy and all of that. If you buy the AMD Radeon branded one, that is. Ooh, look at that. Uncompromised 4K gaming, AMD Fidelity FX optimized, 16 gigabytes of memory, and PCIe 4.0 ready. So this is what's inside the 6800. This is not the XT, obviously. It's got this little flap. Oh, and then right here you got a little pull, dealy bobber. It's got a QR code, which I'm assuming is going to lead you to all the product information you need for your graphics card. I really do like QR codes. I really do, because then your manual's never out of date. As long as I keep the website up to date, you put your phone, turn on the camera, pointed at it, whether it's Android or Apple, or no one's still running a Windows Phone these days. And it's got all your compliance information, quick start, general safety guidelines. This product is for use only with compatible UL-listed personal computers that have installation instructions detailing user installation of this class of product. So here is the 6800 right here. Pretty standard size, actually. Remember how I kind of showed that it has a very 2080 Ti sort of a look to it? I do like the fact that it's a 3-fan. You can see it's a 2-slot design, slightly taller than normal. Like, I don't know, that's probably like, what you said, they're like about 1.5 centimeters maybe. But you know what though? Look at all those MLCCs. This card's so stable, bro. Powered off 2 8-pin PCI Express. But you can see you've got that red trim that I kind of said I didn't like, but I think it's starting to grow on me a little bit, especially if you're gonna do any sort of a, I just think this silver, I don't know, I guess it's aluminum. I think the silver with the matte black and the red trim really do look good together. You know what's nice to see is they've got the USB-C right here on the back. Something that the 30 series graphics cards from NVIDIA omitted. It was originally supposed to be there for VR headsets and such. NVIDIA got away with it because they said it wasn't being utilized that much. But as soon as they took it away, I started hearing people complain about it. So obviously there's gonna be a subset of users that care about that. It's fairly weighty, and I think that's just because there's so much heat sink in there. I'm a little concerned about the part that gets thinner right here, just like I was with the 2080 Ti. So one of the things we'll definitely be checking is temperatures with this over time because of this shroud, which is like that on both sides, by the way. One has a logo, one doesn't. I'm assuming this Radeon logo is gonna light up. That just takes away some of the escape for the air. And considering the fact that there is a fan right there, tells me that airflow is something I'm somewhat concerned about. There's no vents on the back, so none of the air can make their way out of the shield right here, the I/O shield in the back. So nothing will be escaping out the slots. And then there's nothing on the end right here either. So the only way air can flow through these cards is down and then out those sides. So I really am truly interested as to how well the airflow is going to be on that. In terms of connectivity though, you've got your HDMI 2.1, you've got 2 display ports and the USB-C. So there is less connectivity on this card than you would find on something like an NVIDIA 30 series card, but you do get back the USB-C. So I guess it's going to be up to you on whether or not that's enough connectivity. If you're running 3 DisplayPort monitors, like a triple monitor setup, then you kind of have a problem here in that you aren't going to be able to natively hook up DisplayPort to all 3. You'd have to do like a DisplayPort HDMI, a converter cable. You're not going to be able to use 3 of the same cable, obviously. But that's just one. Remember, the Sith. There's always 2. This is the master! Welcome to the Red Team. You've joined a select community with an uncompromising passion for premium gaming. You guys have an uncompromised passion for premium gaming? That shared desire is at the heart of everything we do. It's why we engineered the fastest AMD Radeon RX graphics cards ever to deliver a powerful gaming experience. Essentially the same flap with the same start guide and feel. Once you take it out of there, it's like this one put on the COVID 30. So just in terms of size already, so you can see it's exactly the same length and it's essentially the exact same height. It's got the same exact connectivity on the back side of it. In fact, when you look at the back plate, it all looks pretty much identical. The only difference here is this one is a 2.5 slot. So you can see it sticks up a little bit taller than the 2 slot. So that's something you want to keep in mind if it's something you were planning on putting in a 3 slot or a 2 slot vertical adapter. It should still just be fine because there's no bracket here to worry about. 3 slot cards that have 3 brackets won't fit in any sort of vertical mount that has 2 slots. This will work on that. You just need to make sure you have enough distance between any side panel glass or plastic or whatever so you have plenty of airflow. The nice thing is though, that extra height kind of removes some of my concerns about that gap that I told you I had on the 6800 right here. So if you take a look at that gap, it's clearly less on the 6800 XT just because you have an extra half slot of height right there. And you can see through that. Like I see the camera. Can you see my eye? I see you. I'm Jordy. I'm an engineer. But in terms of like the overall card, it just looks exactly like the 6800, but only it's an XT, which makes it just a little bit fatter. So now if we kind of take a look at the family right here, this is kind of your small, medium, and large with AMD. I would have to assume they're going to come out with a 5700 XT replacement. 5700 XT is significantly slower than a 2080 Ti. Now we know in terms of the stack, like where these are slotted to compete, we know that the 6800 XT is designed to go toe-to-toe with the 3080. I'm curious as to if this one can be flashed with the XT BIOS. That's something that, like I said, we did with the 5700, so we'll have to try it. But this is designed to go more against the 3070, and based on what we've seen on the charts that they've showed, it looks like this card is going to be quite a bit faster than the 3070, simply because of the fact that they compared it to a 2080 Ti, which we already know is essentially a 3070, and based on what AMD's chart showed that it did, I would expect the 6800 to outperform it quite a bit. It's also more expensive though, so that's something to keep in mind. 5700 XT owners, it's time to upgrade. It's kind of sad though, if you look at this, even this card has the 3 display ports. I'm curious to see how many people are upset about the fact that they dropped an entire display port. So these are what we've got for our launch coming up here. No 6900 XT, I don't know what their plans were on seeding those. I'm sure a couple of channels probably got them. We didn't, but that's okay. We'll be checking out AIB cards, which we'll be getting those as well. This is where I kind of say, I said with the 5900X and the 5950X, I wanted to do some sort of like ultimate AMD build. I do it every time. I don't know why people always give me a hard time saying I don't do enough custom AMD stuff when I've done more custom AMD builds than I have than any other brand on this channel. But we've got some stuff I want to show you here. So I received the new ROG Crosshair Dark Hero from Asus. So this seems like a pretty good platform to build something on there. And then I received something else. This, my friends, all the water cooling stuff for the new Radeon graphics cards. So as you can see right here, we've got our 6000 series water block, and I sure hope this isn't under embargo because it just showed up. Look at that right there. You want to vertical mount that in my opinion. You can't see the water flow, but the Radeon, and that clearly glows. So you can see we can maintain that nice aluminum look like you've got with the cards here. I like the idea of using this black tubing. We've got some of it over there. We've actually had some of this in stock for a while, but this feels industrial. And I love the way the matte black tubing looks. And because of the fact that they gave us these matching, check this out, Phil, getting close on this, matching silver with red accent compression fittings. So you can imagine these kind of really tying in with the overall aesthetics of what their AMD Red Team is supposed to look like. So these are running the EK compression fittings with the changeable trim that screws on there. So you can actually change the colors if you want. We actually have an entire kit of blue, yellow, gold, silver. So they obviously kind of came up with it's silver with the red trim and then the black fitting. So I feel like a silver and red and black theme is necessary. We've got this Cooler Master case, which is all silver. And in fact, it even has a Radeon 7 that's water cooled in there and a build that I never finished. It's really heavy. So I feel like this would be the perfect case for this. Everything's branded Ryzen and AMD. So here's the CPU block, and look, it's just a big chunk of aluminum for the mounting bracket on there. is the pump reservoir combo, which just fits in any sort of fan slot, like a 120 fan. So you can use this mounted onto the radiator or something, because you can mount it horizontal, because you got ports there, as you can see. So that's gonna be fun. I don't know if this is just a reviewer kit. I think it might be. Imagine if you could just buy this like this. I mean, then they give us 3 of their RGB, of the Vardar Evo RGB fans, which is neat though, because look, they have the custom milled Machine Radeon logo in the center of it. So as it turns, it's very like, it's the light, which I think looks really, really cool. So as you can see, they have armed us quite literally with a gun case that is capable of building, I think, one of the most badass D&D systems we've ever done. I don't know how many people received these kits, so it's probably not going to be super unique. But I have a feeling we can always do something, though, that is Jay's 2 cents touch. Let's get it on the test bench. And you guys have to wait till next time. See you guys in the review.
Welcome back to Hardware Unboxed. What are we doing today? Well, we're doing a bit of everything actually. So the embargo has lifted for the unboxing of the Radeon RX 6800 series, so reviewers and people that are testing these cards out can unbox them and show them to you. So that's nice. We can't do anything, we can't do teardowns, anything else, just an unboxing, which is a bit boring. So with this video, I will unbox these cards first, show you them, we'll look at some nice B-roll and stuff like that. Then we'll discuss a few things like availability, I'll give you some information that I have, and then we're going to look at some benchmarks. Not of these cards, unfortunately. I'll be showing you the data that I've updated for the review of these cards, just with them excluded from the data set. So we'll have the new Ampere cards, we'll have some older Radeon cards, some older GeForce cards, but there have been some new games out. So obviously Watch Dogs Legion, we've got Dirt 5, Assassin's Creed, Valhalla, and Godfall. So that'll take a list of 14 games up to 18. So that's a lot of games for a day one review, but we will be covering 18 games for the review of these cards, and I've tested at 1080p, 1440p, and 4K. So those 3 resolutions will be featured in this video. Anyway, you guys probably want to see these cards, so we'll quickly unbox them. Spoiler alert though, I have actually already unboxed and fully tested these cards. I've had them for over a week now. I am filming this video quite literally hours before you will see it. So yeah, a bit of a mad scramble here. But anyway, let's unbox them. So we'll start with the little guy, the 6800, the plain old 6800. And as I said, I have already opened this, so I don't need to cut it open or anything. When you open the box, this is what you're presented with. This piece lifts off. It's got some nice foam backing, which keeps the card all nice and snug in the other foam compartment. And there's nothing else in here, I don't believe, because there's no silly custom 12-pin connectors or anything like that. Here it is, the RX 6800. It is a dual slot card. It's fairly compact. I've a few marks and things on it because I said it's been in and out of my test systems for the last week. Spent many hours being tested. So yeah, I know exactly how it performs, I know how hot it runs, I know how loud it is, all that sort of stuff. Unfortunately though, I'm not allowed to tear it down for this video, so that's basically all I can show you. So we'll throw up some B-roll so you can get a better look at things as I'm talking probably about the specifications and a few stories that I'm about to tell. We'll look more at the B-roll, but I mean, that's the card. Then of course we have bigger brother, the XT model, much bigger box, quite a bit heavier actually. And that opens up by popping out there. So I guess you could sort of do that on an angle. Oh look, it's got another one of those things. And you take that out. Ta-da! So again, some foam backing here. This has a little, looks like a little manual type thing or something. I don't think there's anything else in there. So it's just, again, the card. And as I alluded to earlier, no silly 12-pin connectors on these, so both of them feature a pair of 8-pin PCIe power connectors. And this card looks basically identical to the non-XT version. They're the same length and the same height, the only difference being the width. So this one is 40mm wide, this one is 50mm wide. So 2.5 slots, which takes up 3 slots. This one takes up 2 slots, so potentially better for mini ITX builds. By the way, at this point I should apologise for any of you with headphones that are quite bassy. It is blowing a gale across the state at the moment. It's been about 50km/h winds all day. It's not going to let up till late tonight, so I've just got to film this video. So again, sorry for those of you who are hearing quite a lot of rumbling with your headset. I'll do my best to remove it, so hopefully what I'm talking about now most of you won't notice. Anyway, here's what it is. So there's the 2 cards. Now, I will... What have we got here? So here is the RTX. I'll move this aside. 3070 Founders Edition. So a little bit shorter in length. Width-wise, they're both pretty much the same. And then height-wise, the Radeon GPU stands slightly taller. So slightly pull that away. But there, so that's those 2 cards. This one actually feels a bit heavier despite being smaller, so that's interesting. And then 3080 versus 6800 XT. So the 3080 FE model is a little bit longer. It's not quite as tall that a ways. And width-wise, it is again only a 2-slot card, whereas the Radeon GPU is a 2.5-slot card. So 50mm basically versus 40mm. And just quickly, for those of you wondering, the Radeon RX 6800 XT, that weighs 1510 grams. It is 267mm long, and it is 120mm tall from the PCIe connector. And as I said earlier, it is 50mm thick, so it takes up 3 slots. The GeForce RTX 3080 for comparison, that weighs 1355 grams, so it is a bit lighter, though as we just saw, it is a bit longer at 285mm. It stands just 112mm tall, so not quite as tall, about 8mm shorter, and it is also 10mm thinner, so not quite as thick, 40mm thick for the RTX 3080 Founders Edition, as it is a 2-slot card. Then with the vanilla plain old Radeon RTX 680, that is a 900 g card, so fairly light really for its size. It is 267mm long, 120mm tall from the PCIe connector, and 40mm thick. It's a 2-slot card, so yeah, not ridiculously heavy, but it's not outrageously light either. 900 grams is reasonable. I just thought it would weigh a bit more than that, given that the Founders Edition RTX 3070, that weighs 1035 grams, so 135 grams more, and it is quite a bit smaller. It's only 242mm long, similar height from the PCIe connector, and similar width at 40mm. Again, it's a 2-slot card. So as far as unboxings go, we're kind of done here. Really not worth making a video for just this. You guys have seen probably what these cards look like. Some of you may not have kept up with the announcements and things like that and seen the renderings and stuff of the cards. They do look very good. I think they're very impressive looking cards. And they should perform well. They're certainly the best looking reference cards we've ever seen from AMD. Basically, all metal construction, huge heatsink, as you can see, lots of ventilation on both sides of the card to let plenty of airflow through. So yeah, 3 fans on the front, look to be 90mm fans, same for both models. Should perform really well. And yeah, I do like the fact that it is full aluminium construction, so all metal design, feels very premium, looks very good, but obviously a lot more details in that regard to come in our review in a few days' time. So yeah, but without being able to tear down the cards, I don't want to go into too much more detail about all that sort of stuff. We'll leave that for a later date, a video where we're not limited as to what we can do. Something else I want to talk about is availability of these cards, because that's going to be a hot topic when they release. So technically they are being released on the 18th. That's when you'll be able to see our review. So a few days from now. I've got a lot of work ahead of me. And I'm not really expecting that you'll be able to buy one. So yeah, I've spoken with quite a few retailers and stock seems pretty terrible, like RTX 3080 terrible. It will differ from region to region. I've mostly spoken with Australian retailers, and yeah, availability not good, which is disappointing to hear, but it may not be all doom and gloom for those of you who are desperately needing a graphics card and haven't been able to buy something like an RTX 3080. So as I said, releasing on the 18th. Now, my understanding is that's an AMD reference card only release. So just these two models. So you'll be able to buy them from brands like Gigabyte, Asus, and so on, but it'll be the reference card. It'll be this card with like a different sticker on the fans or something like that. The actual proper custom AIB cards, the ones that most of you are probably going to be interested in, they won't be releasing for another week. So the 25th, they will become available. Probably again in limited numbers. It'll probably be a few weeks after that before we start seeing strong availability and decent stock levels and shipments and all that sort of stuff. So realistically, you're probably looking at more than a week before you have any kind of chance at buying one of these. And as Tim and I have said in Q&As and things like that before, historically, it's very difficult to buy a graphics card when it first releases. And that was going back many years when they weren't nearly as popular as they are now. So there's just an insane demand right now for high performance graphics cards, which these are alleged to be from AMD, who you're supposed to be looking at slightly better than RTX 3070 performance with this one, and somewhere between 3080 and 3090 performance with this one here at a slight discount to the 3080. So this is $650 US, so that's $50 off. And then this one's $580 US, so $80 more, but you get twice as much VRAM. I'm not going to go too much into those sort of specs because Tim's already done a video on all of that, so if you are interested in